People have called Kamala the DEI candidate, but Democrats, they don't like that.
Whenever you hear DEI, I want you to think about the N-word. I want you to think about racial slurs. That's what they actually mean.
Latina, when you hear DEI, think of the N-word? That's where they are? That's it?
I just want to say this. The Democrats are full of crap. And I think that they know that the American people can see through the crap that they're pushing and circulating out there to the black community. If anything, the Democrats, they're the ones who are sowing division in the community, in this country. They're not about uniting everyone together. They're about themselves. They're about power. They're about division. They have their own agenda in place. And this thing has been in the works for years. It's just that now it's coming to light and people are starting to wake up. They're opening up their eyes. And I'm going to tell you something. The black community, we will not support her. Nope. You know, they can try to race bait us. Nope. They can try to push the gender agenda in our community.
And speaking of that, Latina, speaking of that, I got a place because they're starting this pressure campaign for any black person or minority who is not considering voting for Kamala.
You're going to look real crazy being on the other side of that line, particularly as a person of color. But really as anyone who claims to have any connection to the culture. You're going to look real weird and real lonely on that side.
Because most African Americans know that the illegals' benefit card is worth more than our worthless black card. So why would we care about who Kamala Harris is, about her race or her gender? We care about the policies that she has pushed with Joe Biden for the past 3.5 years. We are struggling. We can't even make ends meet. You talked about retirement earlier. I have to work till I'm 70 years old in order to get my full retirement. So, no, Black America is not supporting Kamala Harris, all right? Her color has nothing to do with the failed policies that she has championed and stood on for 3.5 years.
If Kamala Harris is a smart woman who has a record to run on, then run on the record.
Yes.
Just run on it.
I agree.
To me.
But what record does she have?
Well, that's a good point.
I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws, and I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
Here in California, we're ready for someone that's going to support law enforcement. Kamala Harris and law enforcement in California, we're very familiar with her and how she has done over the course of years as a senator and as a prosecutor and as the Attorney General. And I can tell you that this ad is deceiving, to say the least. I remember this particular case where we did a drug cartel or a drug trafficking organization where we worked with DEA. And the issue was that in this particular situation, she showed up for a soundbite. She didn't shake anyone's hands, and she quickly left the briefing room. So for me in law enforcement to see my face and image along with my law enforcement counterparts being represented as standing alongside Kamala Harris was truly disheartening. We do not support Kamala Harris. She has a history of not supporting law enforcement. And I just wanted to come out and say that for me in Tulare County, the sheriff of Tulare County, looking out for victims, looking for someone who's going to support criminal justice and law enforcement, that is best represented by Donald Trump and not Kamala Harris.
You know, it's remarkable, Sheriff, because I've never heard of a politician go in amongst a group of voters or other elected officials, law enforcement, and not shake their hand.
Another criticism of Harris is that she's nasty to people who work for her.
Incredibly, there's been a 92% turnover on her staff.
Politico called her office abusive, an unhealthy environment. Now, if she were a hard-charging boss who got results, that might be okay. But we know what happened when Biden put her in charge of the border.
More than 302,000 migrants crossed the southern border.
Of course more people crossed. Harris promised them free stuff.
Medicare for all to people who are in this country illegally?
I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public education or public health, period.
We'll see a big contrast between President Trump, who brought the numbers down, who had reasonable policies in place that he, as president, put into effect, and the contrast being Vice President Harris, who on day one, she and President Biden opened the borders by moving through a lot of executive orders and taking down what former President Trump had been able to do. So we've heard in 2020, she said the border was a complete waste. The border wall is a complete waste of money. In 2019, she said we don't need to build a wall. It's not an emergency. In 2022, she had an interview with Chuck Todd where she said not once but twice the border is secure. I mean, who's believing that? This is 2 years ago. She also said in 2021 or 2022 in an interview that she had actually been to the border, when in fact the interviewer, Lester Holt, had to say, no, you haven't. And she says, well, I haven't been to Europe either. I mean, what a flippant answer to a very serious question.
We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act?
This is unbelievable. Oh, and as we speak, oh my gosh, as we speak, we have people just hanging out. Oh, you guys, I'm going to drive down the wall and show you this. I didn't even notice this when we first pulled up. We saw them on Mexico side. I see group after group after group down the wall. We're going to go drive that and show you. I'm going to show you all the trash. And then we come back, I'm going to pick up IDs and everything else. Guys, it's hard to explain how bad this is. Joe Biden's lying. Mayorkas is lying. The Democrats are lying. They're destroying our country. They're inviting the invasion. And every single American citizen's paying for it. Here comes one of the groups. ¿De dónde son? Costa Rica. ¿A dónde vas?
Tal vez Florida.
Florida?
Well.
¿De dónde son? Where are you from?
India.
India? Where are you from? Africa?
Africa.
What country?
From Senegal.
Senegal? Senegal? All fighting age men. Senegal. Mauritania. Wow.
Huh?
Brazil, okay. Brazil? ¿De dónde son? Guatemala? Brazil? Todo? Where are you from? Mauritania? Senegal, Mauritania? Ghana. Wow, Ghana. Senegal? Mauritania? Okay. ¿De dónde son? Brazil? India?
India.
Wow. You speak English? Pakistan? You speak English?
Yes.
What brought you here? How did you guys get here? This is like middle of nowhere. Huh? What got you guys here?
I don't know English.
You said you did. No, not anymore.
Hindi.
Hindi? Only Hindi.
Only Hindi.
Where are you going? New York, New Jersey, Florida? California?
Yeah,
New York? LA? Huh? Louisiana? All over.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't want to. The guy in the middle upset that we were trying to interview him. Upset after you broke into our country that I would have the audacity to film you.
I mean, the Americans that are sitting home and watching, and you do such a great job of showing this every week, seeing the fact that, you can't get from Mauritania, you can't drive from Mauritania to the border or Senegal or, and suddenly they can speak English, but they can't speak English. That was just one section of the border on the American side that you were that we saw all those countries coming. Is it like that everywhere you go?
Everywhere, Gene. Everywhere you go is like that. And I went back across the border into Tijuana, and what was shocking was seeing the hundreds of people who come through CBP-1. So everywhere you go, it's from all over the world. We have thousands of people coming in from all over the world. You can see some of the water stations set up here. I went down there. What was shocking to me was this is literally out in the middle of nowhere. Lukeville, Arizona. Look up on a map. Lukeville, Arizona. It's right across from Sonoyita, Mexico. And it is absolutely controlled by the cartels. Mexico side. And as I was there, I was like, wait a second, who are all these people over the wall? So this is a new phenomenon. This is an area that hasn't been, we basically broke the story that was happening there. I went on the U.S. side and started going down there. And what looks like's happening is they've moved all these people out to the middle of nowhere in the desert so that you can't see it, so that we can't see it, so that the administration can say the numbers are down, when in reality, the numbers are the same. They've simply changed the definition from illegal to legal using the CBP-1 app. And one of the lies that Mayorkas said was they were going to return these people, deport them under Title VIII. That is not happening. I'm getting words from Customs and Border Protection that all they have to do is appeal their deportation, and they're given a stay of deportation. So like the guy who's covering his face with his water bottle from Mauritania, from the Islamic State of Mauritania, saying, I don't want you to see me. I've got bags more of IDs that they've dumped. They can simply walk on in. We put them on a bus. We send them to an NGO, and they come to a community near you. It's absolutely shocking, and it's everywhere along the border. And these are aiding and abetting an invasion. These organizations are aiding and abetting an invasion into our country. They need to be prosecuted. But for God's sakes, we've got to defund them. We cannot. We're not only are leftists themselves giving money to these organizations, they are getting millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayer money right now to do this human smuggling, to work with the cartels and finish the smuggling into America. That's number one. If we do that, that will change the game overnight.
So explain, Ben, and you gave me all these IDs. Why do they explain to the American people watching? Why do they get rid of their IDs when they cut across the border? It's very simple. Without an ID, they can make up any story they want. And what we've interviewed dozens of people as they've come across. We've actually interviewed them as they were dumping their IDs. And that what we've been told over and over is they were coached by the NGOs that are on both sides of the border that they'll have an easier time getting into America if Border Patrol doesn't know who they are, in particular, if they're trying to claim that they're a family. So you have one man, one woman, met each other along the way. They've been coached that it's easier to get in if you have a family. Many of them buy children or rent children along the way. And they create these fake families. And, if you've got an ID from Mauritania and your supposed wife has one from Ghana, that story doesn't match up very well. But if you come in, you make up any names you want, you can start a whole new life. All right, let me play this other video you did. This is about the cartels are dropping people off. Watch.
We've filmed most of these people coming down the wall. This is part of the group, and there's more even coming down there. Just massive number of people here. And clearly this has been going on for a while because there was probably 4 of these tents with water. There's a big water truck down there. They've got the flag up. So this is an area that they've known about. And this basically is the unknown Yuma. We've been covering the border all over the place. Basically what we find is that the cartel sends groups to different areas to take Border Patrol resources away so that they can run their drugs into other people that don't want to get caught. This is unbelievable, guys. The resources, though, all these guys have are trucks now. They've got a couple vans, no buses. And we're talking thousands of people coming through here now.
How should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
But part of the spin, people in the media or people that support Kamala Harris, they're saying that she's changed. Do you believe Kamala Harris has changed on the issue of the border and the cartel?
Well, I mean, I have to go along with what history shows. And history with her record does not show that she's supportive of any type of law enforcement agency. She's not supportive of a secure and strong border. It's evident when we have untold amounts of fentanyl, cartels right here in my county that we have worked to dismantle, along with human trafficking that takes place up and down the state of California, right across the border. When she was the attorney general, that could have been secured. It wasn't. Her as vice president could have made moves to secure that. It wasn't. So I would say that we have to go on a track record, and the track record is not conducive or supportive of anything that she's saying within that ad.
Real quickly, Sheriff, one of the criticisms that I've heard, even to former staffers that have gone, they won't provide their name, but they say when they're doing briefings with her that she's not aware of the topics, she doesn't read the briefing books. Just with your experience with Kamala Harris when she was AG, did she seem to understand what was happening at the time?
Well, in the particular case that we were there in that video clip, she did not fully have all the information. But having said that, the Attorney General here in California goes through thousands of cases. I mean, I can't criticize her for not being directly briefed on many cases, but in that particular case, it seemed as if she had received a last-minute briefing.
Yeah. Sheriff, someone that knows Kamala Harris that is in the state that she once represented, Sheriff Boudreaux.
As Vice President, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But
the majority of my career was focused on the abuse and the harm against women and children.